Hi, my name is Serafel and I will be taking you through the National Teachers Standards. I assure you are going to gain a lot of knowledge, so stay with me and let's get learning. In this learning, we will cover the following content. First, we'll be looking at what are the standards for, and we'll move on to who are the standards for, how were the standards developed, what is the legal status of the teachers' standards, what philosophy underpins the standards, how are the teachers' standards organized. Then we'll move on to looking at the teacher's standards itself. Here it is in three parts. First, we will look at the professional values and attitudes, professional knowledge, and professional practice. We'll then proceed and look at how are the standards to be used, what are the roles of teacher education institutions, and finally, we'll look at the format of the standards. It's going to be an interesting journey. So let's now move on to what are the standards for. For pre-service and in-service teachers, teachers play a critical role in inspiring and challenging students, requiring the highest standards of knowledge, conduct, and practice. These standards outline what teachers should know and be able to do. It's important to note that the National Teacher Standards sets the minimum practice levels that all trained teachers must achieve by the end of their pre-service education to fulfill their critical role. Also, the standards guide the development of beginning teachers during their induction year before licensing by the National Teaching Council and serve as a framework for ongoing professional and career growth for all teachers. The standards, again, represent a common core that applies to teachers at all levels. Accompanying examples at the end of these guidelines illustrate how the standards are applied across kindergarten, primary, junior high, and senior high school. For in-service teachers, the pre-tertiary teachers standards for Ghana are concise statements of what teachers are expected to know, understand, and be able to do as teachers to ensure they continually improve their own learning as well as those they teach. It's also important to note that the standards aim at ensuring that as teachers move up from one rank to the other in their career, they are empowered to engender effective learning among those they are expected to teach. Also, at each stage of their journey to become accomplished teachers, the standards expect teachers to demonstrate good knowledge in the relevant subjects and curriculum areas, and also have a sound knowledge of learners' different ways of organizing their learning, and also demonstrate knowledge and understanding of how different learning styles impact teaching. The standards also expect teachers to reflect thoroughly on the effectiveness of teaching approaches, demonstrate good knowledge and understanding of how to use assessment to support learning, and identify their own training needs and take responsibilities for addressing them through lifelong learning. I love your pace. You've gotten here so quickly. We are now going to look at who are the standards for. The standards apply to the following. First, student teachers on pre-service teacher training courses. Second, all beginning teachers in their induction year in schools. Third, all in-service teachers in schools who are covered by the 2016 new NTC frameworks for career progression and promotion. 4. NTC would use the teacher standards in assessing cases of any misconduct by any member of the teaching profession. 5. The standards apply to NTC for the licensing of teachers after induction. 6. NTC would use the teachers' standards as a benchmark for the renewal of teachers' license. The standards again applies to institutions involved in the training and development of teachers. 8. Teacher educators would use it as a guide in the preparation of curricula and courses for teacher training. 9. District education directors, circuit supervisors, teacher union, head teachers, and mentors in schools would also need to use the teachers' standards as a guide to inform their work, serving as a common point of reference. Whoa, congrats! We're now moving on to our next focal area. Here we'll be looking at how were the standards developed. The standards was developed to consolidate diverse training practice into a national framework, ensuring consistent guidance for student-teacher development based on various sources. This includes, first, we have assessment tools used by the University of Cape Coast and University of Education, Winneba, for assessing students, teachers during on-campus teaching and practical. Second, we have Handbook for Principal Teacher Aspirants by the Ghana Education Service. Third, Manual for Student Teachers on School Attachments. Our fourth source is the Handbook on Mentorship and the Student Teacher Competence Metrics. Our fifth is Survey of National Teaching Standards in more than 8 countries. Our sixth source is the involvement of practitioners across all sectors and other key stakeholders, including the National Teaching Council, National Council for Tertiary Education, National Accreditation Board, Ghana Education Service, and more. An ad hoc vetting committee comprising members of regulatory bodies reviewed the draft teacher standards before validation on December 7, 2015. These stakeholders ensured the standards were realistic, achievable, and suited to the Ghanaian context. Another important information for us to know is that a pilot study was conducted in 5 districts to obtain evidence-based data as to how the career progression standards would help in promoting CPD of teachers. In this section, we're going to look at what is the legal status of the teachers' standards. The 2008 Educational Act 778 established the NTC, which shall be responsible for establishing frameworks around teachers' employment, continuous professional development, and periodic practice reviews. The NTC is legally responsible for licensing teachers, establishing minimum practice levels for student teachers, and qualified educators. Universities and colleges of education must ensure that their pre-service programs enable student teachers to be assessed against the standards by the end of their training, especially during this school practicum. Student teachers must be fairly assessed against the standards. Their creative skills should be evaluated based on the specific context and the age group they teach. For in-service teachers, including those on induction and unlicensed teachers, must be fairly assessed against the standards based on realistic expectations. Their creative skills and innovative skills should also be evaluated according to their specific context and the level of learners to teach.